Hi guys, Rastafarian here. So today this video is going to be sort of a build outlines or build discussion video. I'm hesitant to call this a guide because this is we're at a point right now in Kayn's lifespan where there are quite a few builds that you can go. He has a lot of options. There's a lot of versatility in how you can build these days instead of it being sort of in the past where it was very clear cut, i.e., always went Warrior Duskblade on Blue Kayn, and then the Rost builds were pretty much always Warrior Cleaver Spirit Visage. I have some build credits here. Open are my op.ggs and in my notepad file. So Charismai largely contributed the Umbral Zombie Ward strategy. This is something that he does pretty often. He likes to play around vision. Vakin, if you don't know him, he's currently the #1 Kayn in NA. He hit 1000 LP. He's contributed Tiamat Rost, and he likes to go defensive boots on SA. Naracid, another high elo North American Kayn player. He's been going Duskblade after Tiamat on SA instead of Ghostblade. And then, of course, Gil 100, the big daddy. He's sort of revolutionized builds for Blue Kayn. He did cooldown boots, Shadow Assassin, Manamune Shadow Assassin. He popularized the Tiamat tech, Ghostblade first item. So this is Vakin's account. He's Pogus, however you want to pronounce it. So he currently Challenger 1000 LP. Look at his tier graph. Spiked very hard. His Naracid, peak rank of 204 LP. Charismai, of course, everybody knows Charismai, very consistently high elo. And Gil 100, he's decayed. He hasn't played on this account in a while, but his peak 580 GM on Korea. So the core for Shadow Assassin is 100% Tiamat always. You will always build this first before Warrior. This item is incredibly strong on Blue Kayn. If you do not go this item first, like there are people who I've seen that still prefer Duskblade first, you are griefing. This item is, I don't want to say it's the sole reason, but this is what allowed Blue Kayn to resurface in the meta, besides the meta shifts, obviously. It gives the champion so much reach, so much combo potential. You really need to build this first item every game that you're going blue, and then obviously Enchantment Warrior. Your first item, I call this first item, but I guess technically, if you consider Warrior first item, this could be second item. But I'm just gonna call it first item to avoid confusion. So first item, every game should always look something like this. You will either go Yomu's, Duskblade, Manamune, or Umbral. These are your options for later in the game. Lord Dominic's Regards, Mortal Reminder, Edge of Night. Your only real defensive option that I would ever consider on Shadow Assassin is Guardian Angel. I'll talk a little bit about this my notepad file. And then boot choice, you can go pretty much anything. Anything has been proven to be viable on this champion. The one thing on this list that I'm not 100% sold on is Sorcerer's Shoes. People have done the math before. This really doesn't contribute all that much damage. You'd be better off if you wanted something like an offensive boot choice. You'd be better off taking, in my opinion, of course, either mobility boots or cooldown boots, since cooldown boots not only give you more CDR, but they decrease the cooldown of your summoner spells as well, which can allow you to make more aggressive flash plays more often. Flash is, of course, very strong on Blue Kayn. Flash WQ can eliminate an entire backline in less than a second. And mobility boots just allow you to get around the map and position faster. So these are your options on Shadow Assassin. We will go over to the red page now. So red core, every game should always look like this. Warrior Black Cleaver. I have red core optional here. Tiamat. We will talk a little bit more about this in the notepad file. I'm hesitant to really recommend this on a consistent basis, but Vakin takes Tiamat every game on Kayn regardless of form, and he is, of course, currently, as we can see, the highest ranked Kayn player in North America. So Death's Dance is in its own little section here, and it isn't in core only because of what Charismai has to say about this item. We'll talk about this more in the notepad file as well. So your really strong defensive options on red are going to be the armor penetration items because, of course, your healing is based on post mitigation, which means that the more armor you penetrate, the more damage you deal, the more you will heal. And Sterix Gauge, which is, of course, the lifeline item that gives you a shield when you take damage based on your maximum health in 5 seconds, and it gives you 50% of your base AD as bonus AD. Very good item. Your main defensive options are going to be Guardian Angel, Randuin's Omen, Spirit Visage, and Thornmail. Adaptive Helmet is also going to be strong here, but since it isn't built as much, and it's a pretty niche item, just keep it in mind. I'm not going to add it. Really, I want to keep this brief. I don't want to talk too much about this. Your boot choice on red pretty much limited to defensive boots. There really isn't, because you're a frontliner, there really isn't any reason to go something like Mobies or cooldown boots. An argument could maybe be made for Swifties, but again, for the sake of brevity, these two. So we'll move on over to our notepad file now. So Shadow Assassin, Ghostblade versus Duskblade versus Manamune. So Ghostblade, you're going to be looking to go Ghostblade first against teams that have a lot of mobility, champions where the active will benefit you a lot, and you don't think that you're always going to be able to land that crucial auto for the Duskblade proc. A lot of the reason why Ghostblade is like Ghostblade first is so much more viable now, after the Tiamat tech discovery, than Duskblade first, is because Tiamat is sort of replacing our Duskblade auto, and we don't have to be strictly in melee range to proc it. Obviously, the closer you are to your enemy, the more damage the Tiamat active will do, but you don't have to actually make that auto attack. And this is important because Kayn has one of the slowest auto attack windups in the game and a very clunky auto attack animation in general. It's kind of easy to cancel. We don't really always want to be in a position where we have to be able to auto attack the enemy squishies. So Duskblade will be going against teams with low mobility. Duskblade gives you unparalleled early damage. It is crazy. Of course, everybody knows if you land that Duskblade auto into T-Mac combo, it's insane. You'll blow pretty much any squishy up instantly. It's really good for Snowball because you'll just be able to one-shot them. So Manamune, I'll talk a little bit about this later. As you can see, I've Manamune. I didn't actually write this note at the bottom, but we'll talk about it a little when we get there. So this is sort of like some kind of half-baked insurance policy. Its scaling is very, very strong. Obviously, it gives you the highest AD in the game of any item. It has really good smite synergy. If you guys don't know, when it evolves into Muramana, you gain a passive that says your single target spells and abilities, they will consume a portion of your mana to deal bonus physical damage based on the consumed mana. This actually benefits Blue Smite. So your Blue Smites can do upwards of like 300-400 damage. It also makes your ult deal crazy damage. So the problem with Manamune, of course, is that Blue Kayn is a like early mid-game assassin. He falls off very hard in late game. He does not scale very well. So if you build this, you will give up a lot of the strength that you would otherwise have by going one of the lethality items. So I have some example comps listed here. For Ghostblade, if we're against something like Camille, Elise, Syndra, Ezreal, Lux, auto attack these champions is going to be very hard. Elise obviously is stun. Camille can run away very quickly with hookshot. Syndra stun, very hard to approach her. Ezreal, of course, everybody hates Ezreal. Lux, binding. Ghostblade is going to be very good against this because the Ghostblade active is going to let us be able to dodge Elise Cocoon, Syndra stun, Lux binding a lot easier. It'll let us catch up with Camille and Ezreal when they go to run away from us. So this is something that I would consider taking Ghostblade into. Duskblade, we're looking more at like Darius, kind of like a slow juggernaut, doesn't have any mobility. Lee Sin, he's someone who is going to want to fight us in melee range, so as long as we're not instantly one-shot by Red Smite combo, we'll be able to get the Duskblade auto off and try to counterburst him. Zoe, you could make an argument for Zoe going more of a Ghostblade route. I don't think it's 100% necessary. I think Bubble's a lot easier to dodge than something like Syndra Stun, something like Orianna ult. So I would prefer to go Duskblade into Zoe, especially if she does something like ult away and then try to bubble you. You can simply sidestep and then blast her with the Duskblade auto when she comes back. Jhin, of course, very immobile AD carry early, really only gets incredibly fast late game. That's when he's super annoying. Bard could definitely be Ghostblade, but in this comp, we would be more concerned with being able to one-shot Zoe, Jhin, and Lee Sin than we would Bard. So we'll talk about Manamune a little bit more right now. This did pop up quite a bit, of course. You know, Charisma made a bunch of videos on it. Gyeon100 was the one who was doing this build in Korea very regularly. However, it is important to talk about the fact that nobody does this build anymore. If we go in and we look, Vakin just doesn't take Manamune ever. Naricid doesn't take Manamune ever. I personally have stopped taking Manamune, and I tested the item extensively, both on my currently Masters, was at the time Grandmasters 100 LP main, and a D2/D1 Smurf. So, you know, not like Challenger or anything, but definitely high-elo games. Charisma, you know, people talk about how Charisma was building Manamune all the time, but I mean, if we go back, like, I'll show you guys. Let's we'll try and find the last Manamune game on his main. So let's see. Blue game, no Manamune. Blue game, no Manamune. Blue game, no Manamune. Blue game, no Manamune. 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 We have one Manamune game here. Two. No Manamune. No Manamune. No, no. No, no. No, no. Nope, nope. Nope, nope, nope. Right, so you guys get my point. So in the last 41 Kayn games that he has played on his main account, he has gone Manamune 2 times. We'll go to Gyeon100, of course, as well, just to show. Because this is the guy that was building Manamune, like, every single game, pretty much. We have to go back 22 days to find a Manamune game. Granted, he has not been playing Kayn that much. And see, this is when he started swapping to the Duskblade build. So, again, for the sake of brevity, will not go any further, but this has potential on Kayn, but there really isn't a ton of situations right now where you would want to take it. So we'll talk more about Red. Death Dance, incredibly potent item on this form. Charisma frequently states that he does not like the item as it is expensive and can kill you in ult, but frequently builds it anyway. And most of us other high-low Kayn players, the ones that do play Red Kayn, i.e. Gyeon, does not play Red Kayn at all. You will not find Gyeon with a single red game in his match history. He strictly plays Blue Kayn. A lot of this is due to the Korean meta. I'm not going to talk about that a whole lot right now. We consider this core. This item is very, very strong on Red Kayn. The amount of 1v1 potential that it gives you with other bruisers and skirmish junglers is incredible. And just to cite my sources, we can see here on Charisma's main account, DD components on a Red Kayn game. DD on a Red Kayn game. Let's see. He was testing the EU build here. This is DD component. Wait, this is actually going into Ma. Pardon me. This is going into Ma. DD. No DD this game. But you can see what I'm talking about. He still builds the item with some frequency. So Spirit Visage we will want to take when the main threats on the enemy team are magic damage based. So you're looking at something like with maybe 2-3 sources of magic damage. Typically you want 3, but you can go 2 if one of the threats is like very potent, it's doing the most damage to you consistently. I forgot a Y here, my bad. So you'd be looking at something like a strong AP mid laner, Syndra Orianna, and like maybe an AP carry jungle, Nidalee, Fiddle, Elise, Evelynn. Maybe they have Cassiopeia bot lane. Maybe they have Kennen top lane, Ryze top lane, something like that. So you want 2, maybe 2, definitely against 3, 100%. Randuins, you'll want to take if the main threats on the enemy team are crit plus AD based. So obviously we're looking at things like Tryndamere. Like obviously if the enemy team is like Tryndamere top, Yasuo mid lane, Caitlyn, you would be trolling if you didn't go Randuin's directly after Black Cleaver. It's important that you don't build this against non-crit ADs unless they have like crit Kindred in the jungle, and then Yasuo Yone mid lane and Tryndamere top lane. So you want 2+ crit characters to build this consistently. So non-crit AD carries, that's going to be something like Vayne, Ezreal, Kog'Maw, Varus, Callista, certain builds on Kai'Sa, Draven. Draven has the Hail of Blades, Merman, Lethality build. I don't know if that's as popular these days, but I still see it around sometimes. Kai'Sa obviously can go the 80 attack speed build. And to note that this is incredibly effective versus Ashe due to her passive, which is once she hits you one time, all of her auto attacks versus you are crits. Every single one. Guardian Angel, you'll really, really want to take this if you have a big shutdown to protect. And it gives you a lot of play reach, i.e., you can do so much more with Guardian Angel if you know that your team is going to be able to follow up on the 4-second stasis that you'll get after it procs. It's also very good if you need damage as well. So Thornmail, in the past I've been very against this item, but after looking at the stats, it actually is quite strong with Death's Dance synergy. So Death's Dance obviously is all the damage that you deal, you will heal, whether it's magic, true, or physical. And this goes for items and runes as well. So that means that the heal or the damage that you will deal with Thornmail to champions that auto attack you will actually heal you as well. So it's actually very good for counterbalancing the dot that you take from the item. It is an inferior Grievous item to Executioners and Mortal Reminder, but again, it has strong synergy with DD. I'm not going to say that you should always build this as your Grievous item. Obviously not. Executioners is 800 gold. You can sit on it for way longer. If you build Bramble Vest, you're going to want to complete Thornmail quicker because the impact, especially if you have Death's Dances, it's too good to pass up. But it's kind of an iffy one. It definitely has its place, but I'm still not 100% sold on it, but the stats don't lie. So, Sterix, offense or defense? So Sterix is a very versatile item. It gives you big AD, big shield. The only thing that is potentially not great about this item is going to be the tenacity that the shield gives you. You can lose a little bit of gold efficiency if you have Sterix, Treads, and Legend Tenacity. That's just because Tenacity has diminishing returns, and you can only, i.e., what diminishing returns means is that the more Tenacity you build, the less you get of it. So if you build Treads and have fully stacked Legend Tenacity, both of them are 30%, but you'll only get 51% Tenacity. So you'll get even less if you have a third source. And you can only lower CC, like hard CC, down to a duration of 0.5 seconds anyway. So you can lose a little bit of gold efficiency, but otherwise this is still an amazing item. This item consistently has one of the highest win rates on Red Kayn. So this item is essentially the perfect balance. It's like Death's Dance. It's the perfect balance of offense and defense. It's very, very strong. It's burst. So if the enemy team has lots of mixed damage, this is a very, very strong item because it can give you that big shield to just defend your HP pool, even though you don't have a ton of resistances. Definitely consider picking it up quite a bit. Tiamat Rost, I'll talk about just a tiny bit. So Vakin always builds this item. His reasonings are that it increases your early game skirmish potential, which is true. It is very strong on Kayn just due to the animation cancel tech. And one of the other things that he really likes about it is the fact that it gives you a Conqueror stack, which can help compensate for the Conqueror nerf that we got a few patches back. I will not personally recommend this. I've not tested it at all. But do keep in mind that Vakin currently the #1 Kayn NA, so it's not like he's going to be building a troll item with absolutely no upsides in, challenger games at like 1k LP. So yeah, this is going to wrap up my item discussion video. I stream on twitch.tv/Rastafarian. If you would like to watch some Grandmasters Kayn gameplay, maybe stop by, say hi. Make sure you guys subscribe if you would like more Kayn content. Maybe leave a comment on stuff that you would like to see. Um, but yeah, also, disclaimer, I probably should have put this at the beginning of the video, but this is just my opinion. This is an opinion piece based solely on my own studies and statistics that we can find on Lolalytics and U.GG. I do not use other sites. So, if you want, take this with a grain of salt. Just my opinion. So, thanks. I hope everybody has a wonderful day and good luck in solo queue.